Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to another Wednesday night podcast. I am your host, VSC Cheese. Proud and very looking forward to announce my co-host for the SuperCoach Late Mail. Mate,
yes,
give everyone an introduction. Tell us what you're about. Tell us you finished last year, and tell us what you enjoy about SuperCoach.
First of all, Cheese, happy Wednesday to you. What a day to be a rugby league fan. We're just musing pre-show about how we've been, really scouring the depths of the internet for any kind of content for the last 2 months. Then it all comes thick and fast out of Malabar today. So, yeah, careful what you wish for, guys, because you're going to have to make 12 trades by midday. My name's Reese. I'm SuperCoach Late Mail. To address the elephant in the room, yes, that is a Roosters poster behind me. Yes, that is Adam Gilchrist poster to that. That is my dad. My Pimble Golf Club, so have to shout that out early. But yeah, man, looking forward to a big year. Did well last year, finishing 11th. Went into free fall in the last month. Didn't watch a round of footy for the final fortnight, but looking forward to my love of rugby league and SuperCoach generally. Come Vegas in a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be good. You can actually watch games again. No,
rather than your fingers.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be good. Don't have to just randomly wake up on a Monday and pray. Look, Vegas is fast approaching. I mean, we've got a Vegas team list next Tuesday, so that's going to be a pretty big episode for Wednesday after, following that up. And, footy's back again. Apologize to the missus. Everyone, fellas, Valentine's Day just passed. Let's do another Valentine's Day. Let's game with good books ahead, so that way we've got the weekend free.
Yeah, Valentine's Day next weekend as well, guys. Build up that equity, because you're going to need
get in early, fellas. All right, and ladies, get in early, ladies. All right. Now, before we get into the trial news, I'll also preface: I was so busy, I didn't get a moment to watch any trials live, and my phone just kept blowing up. So, looking at the highlights, it was a very interesting weekend of footy, but. Before we get into the weekend that just passed and really, dive deep and dissect the things we enjoyed about it and we were a bit turned off for players for, mate, Wednesday morning, what the heck just happened? My phone buzzed at about 9:50 a.m. and next thing I knew, I was telling my boss, can I get an early break? Because what the hell just happened? That was crazy. Yeah. Mate, if you saw someone drop to their knees in a grocery store, ditto. Me too, except I got told off for work. No. Look, so Cam Murray suspected Achilles tear, I believe it was, and out for the season it could be. So that's insane. We're going to dive deep into, exactly obviously no benefits for Cam and, absolutely fearful poor fella. Wish he was not missing out any time, but we'll look at. Oh, yeah. If you're a New South Walesman, look, don't buy tickets maybe. But we'll look into who benefits from that, exactly in that Souths team. And there's a few people we can really go into. And Latrell Mitchell, apparently pulling out a hammy at training. I believe their prognosis is it could be 1 to 4 weeks, depending how the scans come back. They're still waiting on the scans. So, a bit of a wait and watch, especially over the next couple of days. But not exactly what we want 2 weeks out from their games. I mean, Reese, what was your thoughts when you seen that hit your phone?
Well, it kind of reminded me of the Luka Doncic trade a couple of weeks ago to, reference a disillusioned half-hour audience here. It's almost like, was this a hack? I even commented in the Gibbers WhatsApp, and shout out to the Gibbers on this Wednesday night, that, is this a troll? Is this an April Fool's Day? I have to actually check the date if it wasn't April 1. But yeah, man, terrible stuff for South, terrible stuff for rugby league, really. That two of, Murray is definitely one of the most beloved players in the comp. And, Latrell's got a lot of fans, me included, given what he did for this great club. Last time he won a couple of comps, hasn't won any at South. But listen, terrible stuff. There was an interesting stat put up by our guy George in the Gibbers chat regarding what's been going on since they've gone to Malabar, and it just seems as though it's a cursed place, man. Like there was something like 13 or 14 Luke Metcalf injuries, or calves rather, done last year. Now you're looking in the half a dozen range going into this season. Not sure what they've done there, cursing themselves living Redfern, but terrible stuff. To go on to that hamstring injury by Latrell, as you mentioned that Murray's not looking too great for the rest of the season, which is sad for him. But per physio, I'll read this out for you. Early indication is Souths are hoping for a minor hamstring strain for Latrell. If that's confirmed, would usually be a 2 to 4 week return, but obviously scans will confirm. Well, you'd think that they're probably going to leave it as long as possible, given he's did a couple of hammies last year, I believe, Chase. Is that correct?
Yeah, he definitely did have a problem with a hammy last year. He was out for, I believe, 1 to 2 games with it, but it definitely did hamper him a fair bit. So, look, and great news by physio.
Back from, right? So.
No, look, and that's the thing with the hammy. It's physio. We love our physio here, and we will always show our physio for as long as we can. He is keeping us alive with our injury fronts. But the problem with hammies is just they're unpredictable at times. You don't know when they're going to go. You don't know when they'll tighten up again. Hopefully it is just something minor, but it could be a 1 week thing and then he's got a niggle for the next 4 weeks. You just don't know. Like it's such a touch and go basis. Look, I mean, as someone who had Troll was probably one of the only players I haven't really moved down my team since the app open, and it's definitely made for an interesting Wednesday. So we'll dive into it a bit more, and we definitely do have a lot of Duncan talk, a lot of Hubner talk, a lot of Kalamatani talk, and that man has slimmed down. You thought Horsebrough was looking good, mate. I can't wait to see KK come around wanting that jersey. But look, going forward on this podcast, now I don't know if you fellas follow Late Mail on his Insta. You definitely need to if you're not following him, because that man posts stats like the mole is posting on Twitter. Okay, but this is reliable stuff what Late Mail's posting. So
I don't pick him up.
All right, definitely go on to Late Mail, because it's absolutely beautiful. Now, he just pulls stats out like they're nothing, and that's what we're looking at for this year's pod. We're going to be pulling the stats that you probably, you go to bed at night, you think, I should probably sleep. How many times did Hines touch it compared to Tyndall? How many times did, Duncan average this over so many minutes? These are the stats for this man he puts out as a regular Monday morning. So expect that to come from a pod, and then also expect a little bit more of a deep dive as to the NRL side of things, as how, teams prepare. And you'll see that a little bit later today as we talk about one of the players from the trials, and really, what we're looking at. Like I said last week, if you want to know how Turbo scores his points, that's something we're also going to dive into. Where does he sweep the most? What's his favorite side? Is he a 3-man? Is he a 2-man in? Does he have a play on the hip? We're going to be targeting things that, you may not know off the top of your head, or you may not be very familiar with, but you'll become very familiar, and it's going to help you guys a lot. We want to give you guys the most information and stats we can to help inform you to make the best choices you can. We don't want to be telling anyone, this is a must-have. We're probably going to say must-have, but you don't have to get him, okay? They're a must-have for us.
But don't take our opinion seriously, because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But we can at least try to give you the info and entertain you along the way, guys. Cheese he does a great Sterlo impersonation in terms of his 4 and 20, not an ad but an ad kind of breakdowns of tries. So if say Turbo goes 150, we'll relive the highlights together. And it'd probably just turn into a communal circle jerk if we've all got the C on him. But yeah, we might want to make it just a little bit different for everyone. But again, please, we don't really know what we're talking about, guys. So, enjoy the journey with us. We'll give you our best, and feel free to talk some shit when we get some stuff wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, indulge us when we get it right. Just remember, all of the stats we're giving you guys, all of the pieces of information we're going to follow you guys, it's all stuff you guys can get. We're just dudes who are too nerdy to say, no, I'm not bothered to look for that piece. So we'll provide you with stats. You get the information. You make your choices, and we all celebrate, or we all, let's just say we'll celebrate. We'll start for you good. We're all going to celebrate together, okay? Now,
give us 10% of the 50K if you win it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I won't be opposed to that, and we might share some too if we. It's a community effort. Okay. Now, let's get into it.
Yeah, we all wear white linen.
yeah, exactly. All right. Now, the news there, it switches things up. It may not switch things up for people, but it's definitely some news there. It's probably not as big as a deep dive. It's more what affects him surrounding. Cam Murray being out, though. We've got 3 front runners for that position. And one name I've been seeing thrown up a lot is Keaon Koloamatangi. And look, I'd want him at lock. The numbers at lock are absolutely brilliant. But the problem is he has slimmed down. He's been training on an edge. So more than likely he doesn't get that lock position. With the news of, Murray out and the possibility he does get for 13 or even just for 12, are you looking at KK going forward?
I had a lovely 8-week romance with Keaon Koloamatangi last season. Word came down from north of the border from Wayne Bennett, also known as Clint Eastwood, to get Keaon into the lock position when Murray was injured last year, if you recall, Cheese. And, he did. It was Coach Hornby at the time, moved Keaon into lock. And over that 8-week stretch, Keaon averaged 76 a game, which actually makes him the best, or maybe second best 2RF in SuperCoach. Obviously, only an 8-week sample size, whatever. He led the comp in meters over that stretch as well for any forward, only just behind Edwards over the entire season. He's going to be playing edge, though. I mean, he looks lighter, man. I don't know how to quantify that. Probably just more of a vibe thing. Maybe some good angles, good lighting, but it does seem as though he's going to be on the edge. They've got a hell of a lot of moving pieces at that club, don't they, Cheese? I mean, we've already kind of mentioned Duncan in passing there. You got Arrow to come back. Aitken's going to be on the edge as well. So the way I see it, they're going to lock down Keaon on one edge. They're going to have Aitken on the other edge eventually, and then Arrow's going to be in the middle rotation with Duncan. Whether that was the plan with Murray being there or not, I guess we'll never know. But no interest, to be honest, Cheese. Not unless it's confirmed that he's playing long 80-minutes in the middle, because when he does that, the bloke's just so good for 40 tackles, 20.
Oh, he's beautiful. Runs. He's a lock for it.
Tackle, break, offload. He's very matchup proof in that position. So I'm going to watch the team. He loves it. He does. And I think the thing that got a lot of us, me personally, excited today was that, if KK somehow gets that 13 position at the start of the season, it could open up that edge spot for Tallis Duncan. He comes in at 420K. I mean, I believe you put up a very great stat today of Tallis Duncan in 50, what he averaged in 50+ minute games, if you happen to have that off the top of your head. Would you like it now?
Oh, yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. This is a great stat.
Give it to me, baby. 7 games last season. Tallis Duncan played 50+ minutes.
7 games. Okay. It's not a great sample size, but very, very
in those games. Now there was another one I saw on the gram today about his average when he played.
Yeah.
Enough to say that, okay, if he plays X amount of minutes, I mean, it's just that kind of guy, mate. He's a good worker, makes a lot of tackles, runs. They're 2 pretty important qualities for SuperCoach, tackling and running. He gets it
You'd
done.
want that.
But the thing I noted about Duncan when doing a bit of a deeper dive, it's important, believe it or not, just like running is and kicking. But I remember looking at Duncan a bit earlier in the year, and what I thought of is he's served a lot of time under Murray as well, hasn't he, Cheese? Served that apprenticeship. He would have been under Murray's wing at training for the last 3 or 4 years, and he would have learned so many good habits off that bloke. Look, is he an option? I think there's two ways it goes. He's probably going to play 80 on the edge to start the season before Arrow and Aitken rejoin the side. But then I think after that, he'd probably play 60 up the guts and is undervalued, no question. TLT dependent. I did note in that post, I do probably prefer the likes of Kelmer and Seyfarth, given that they're playing off, Luai and Moses, and maybe a bit more upside there and guaranteed kind of long minutes. But Duncan's going to be thereabouts, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If Duncan's got a green tick, his name come Tuesday for that round, it'd be so hard not to grab him in. I think you're right with him spending time under Murray. He's just that player. He's not so much a ball playing lock, you would assume, but he tackles, he runs, he tackles, he runs. I mean, the amount of times, I'll find the stat for next week, but the amount of times he made 3 consistent tackles in a set was just absurd for someone who just comes in. Like he's a chaser. He loves chasing off marker. He loves picking up those tackles. But then he's also taking a third hit up in the next set. His endurance is absolutely crazy in a game. Great match fitness. The only thing that I really don't like about KK or Duncan at the moment is Rabbit's halves. They don't really have anyone there that's you'd go, yep, they're gonna put them through a line. There'll be a good kick. Yeah, they'll occasionally get through and they'll be set up, but they just don't really have that Mitch Moses playmaker who's gonna really assist them get those points. It's gonna be a lot of hard-earned points.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fresh spine, isn't it? You're looking at Mamazella, who hasn't started many games in his career. Obviously, Lewis Dodd, the Pom, early days for him as well. Cody's got a calf injury, I believe. Jeez, is that correct? How old is Cody?
There's rumblings of a calf. Mate, they've got to change the turf down there. Something's going on.
Yeah, mate. They got to give the turf an exorcism. I don't know if that's ever been ever been performed on Bermuda grass in Malabar, but this may be a world first, a 9 News exclusive. Yeah, we should. That could be our first meetup, guys. We'll go to watch the exorcism.
Ooh. Look, I mean, if Duncan gets a tick, it's good. He's going to make the meet. He's got the average there, and he'll not give a base. The base and power's there. It's just whether or not he gets the tries to go with it. Now we'll move a bit more on towards I'd say a bit of an interesting one with 12, because with the 1 to 4 weeks, depending how the scans go, people may want to jump off him. People may want to wait, say he'll be good. It's a very touch and go basis, but it definitely gives options to who do you go to now? KP's there with a juicy draw, and on KP during that All-Stars game, I mean, he looked great. He was just all over. He looked confident. He launches into a corner to stop a try. No fear in him. And that's something we didn't see too much again last year. He was still getting back into it. It was a bit like Pappy coming back from that injury. He needed that confidence boost. And KP's looking like, $1 million again. He's looking great. You've got Walsh, who, he doesn't have the perfect we'll say halves pairing to start season, but Ben Hunt is a really good option now to help him throughout. And Walsh is a guy who, I've always said in the last 15 minutes, that's when you want to watch a Broncos game. Walsh could score you 60 points easily in those last 15 minutes. With the Trell, do you have anyone, if you did have Trell, for example, who would you be interested in moving off to? Or would it be, then the time to move down to an Iongi before? We'll touch on Iongi, and then we'll speak a bit more. We've got some good stuff on him later.
Yes, we do. Cheese actually has a Yongi shrine just off camera. He's hiding it, but I'm
not bringing it out till round 2 after Melbourne.
Look, to answer your Latrell question, I mean, the good thing for Latrell owners, or whatever you want to call it, he's the 3rd most expensive guy in SuperCoach, right? So you're spoilt for choice as to who you can get in, assuming that most people, I mean, Turbo's only 31%. Teams, I say only. I think most serious players have got Turbo in there, right? I had him. Yeah.
You'd have to.
Trell, yeah. The question is, who do you go off the back of Trell? I mean, you probably just look again if it's in that fullback slot. Your options are plenty. There's word today that Duffy probably. Did you see that Cheese article on NRL.com about Clifford being back for round 1 potentially? As a direct quote from Todd Payton saying that They were just resting him for the trial. It doesn't look like Duffy's going to get a start, long story short. So that means that Drinkwater's kicking, so he's now back on the field. Heavy stuff. Sorry to break that to you live, buddy. So if you want to pause the pod and go for a walk outside.
Yeah,
big time. Second time today.
It's not a good Wednesday, mate. This is terrible.
You already mentioned Wolf. We can probably talk about just start again tomorrow, mate. Start again tomorrow. You spoiled the choice if Latrell's not playing. I think the bigger question is, like, do you bring him in if he is named? I mean, you probably have to, right? It's like Turbo. It doesn't matter if they're 80%, they can still just shit points in for fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Trell is probably, like we always say, you don't want to plan trades going into a season or weeks plus, but I feel like a lot of the talk will finally, start to free gun fullbacks, drop down in round 3, round 4, depending on how's it going. Trell was always looking at like that fullback fell as probably the easiest one you could drop just with the draw and the way it was going to end up there. So look, you definitely could start if he's the green tick there. Look, it's Latrell. I mean, he definitely does work to get points, but at the same time, he just accumulates points like nothing else. I don't see anyone else goal kicking over him either. Right. Even with probably a hammy, unless it's bad. And if it's bad, I don't think they risk him. I think Wayne would want to keep him kind of Wolf for the extra two weeks, bring him back in, get as much games before Origin. So, look, if he's named, he's good to go. He's back in the team. It's more just then, if you did have Trell and you've dropped him, you've seen how good the team can be without him, with the extra 1K. It's then organizing, who do you go to from there? And we'll speak about, this Trell injury news and who it affects. This Tyrone Munro, been very keen on him all preseason, especially with Trell, Bennett there.
Me too, man.
Evil, if he's on the left wing, it's amazing. If he's on the right wing, it's a gamble. But, say middle case, Trell misses for the first 2 weeks. Munro, still a star. I'm leaning to, depending if what McLean gets named. If we get Jesse McLean, I'll probably temper off to him. We've seen him. He looked good. We'll speak about him in trials. But in your scenario, if you're Tyrone Munro owner, Trell's out for 2 weeks, hypothetically, are you starting with him or are you getting him in, round 3, round 4?
Well, I'll answer that question in 2 parts. So firstly, just, let's fawn over Tyrone Munro for a second. Jeez. If we take a step back and look at that wing spot for South since Latrell arrived at the club, the left winger at South Sydney has averaged 61. That's over a 4-year sample size, 5-year, whatever, do the math. 61, right? So, that's AJ and whoever else they would have had there at the time. So, you think Munro is 10 years younger than AJ, is quicker, more dynamic, they've got White in there now, whatever. He's probably going to fulfill that. If Latrell is out for the first 2 weeks, which it reads as though he is, I think he's going to be on the later end of that scale. Latrell comes back and they play the Sharks, and then they play the 4-peat champions, Penrith. And then into the Roosters, and then it gets a little bit easier. Well, they play the Cowboys, then Dogs, then Melbourne. It's fucking, excuse my French, it's a grim draw.
It's not good at all.
I mean, I've been on Munro all off season.
Yeah.
No, mate, I don't know. I've been on Munro all off season, probably like yourself, mostly because of that first 2 week matchup. Probably running it whoever Bostock, and then whoever the left winger is for Saints, maybe I don't know, Sloan or something.
Just been
like that.
Now, I'm like,
it's a tough sell now, man.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
right?
Yeah. Look, if Trell was there, I mean, Tyrone's probably one of the easiest options you could pick on. Just, Trell loves a cutout. And more so a point too is like, the fella is so quick. He's going to be backing up probably more than Trell would on a break. Like he's just great in a break. He's great in support play as well for a winger. So there's definitely thankfully we're
like
blessed with options where we can move. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I might have been a bit loud, but yeah. Look, thankfully we've got options we can move down to. I mean, just to name a few, Jesse McLean, if he gets named, that's a very nice downgrade. That frees you up with cash.
Yeah.
Okay. obviously everyone should have Toa. Tamale is again, very big TLT choice. It depends how it looks. Purdy's there's just, we've got quite a few options, and especially with Finau now possibly being in that rotation miss, it's good to move on to. He's a very big TLT watch, in my opinion. Especially even a junior Tupo. If he gets a green tick, it's very close. But thankfully, at 397k, you can move him to quite a few good options, or spend up and get Casey McLean or someone along those lines. Let me just get this up here, because this is when we're
love the look at
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, love the look of Sione Finau, mate, from Saints and mine rugby league realm. Okay, it's going to be a shoot up between
Thanks, Romy.
Tuipulotu, Sloan, et al. For that spot. So whether he holds it or not, let's see. But man, love the look of him. Like, went out to Cogra on Sunday with my mate, the big V, the big Socko. Shout out to Douglas MacArthur, who had a question. He said, Finau ahead of Sloan. We watched him in the flesh, Finau, that is.
Yep.
And mate, looks lively. Blake Lively, ran the ball back at 1,000,000 miles an hour off kick returns, which is great to see. And has a good base game. Like, we already saw it in his debut. Basically saw enough in 80 minutes last year to suggest he's going to make 500k. So, get him in if he's picked for sure. He's a great downgrade option from Munro. Your Billy Smiths of the world, your Toyas, Toya feels like one of the great locks of all time. Purdue, unfortunately, news today about Labor. Unfortunate SuperCoach news regarding Labor coming back. So that probably rules that out. But Jesse McLean's, I'd be surprised if he isn't at 60% of teams in that back line if he's named, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, McLean's probably the golden choice. If he's got a green tick, he's the golden choice. I'll pop this up from Realm and from him too. Thanks, Romy, for this. Absolutely love your stuff. Game of Discord, if you want to talk to Romy, him and Myth do have a subscription package, and by God, it helped me quite a bit today. Stop freaking out. Tuipulotu got a hammy issue, unsure on return. Sloan was in training for right wing from memory, not left. Okay, so interesting. So we can pretty much rule Tuipulotu out. Sloan for the right wing. Okay. Not bad. I'm praying for now. I don't know about you. I'm praying for now. You saw, the highlights I saw.
Well, I hope you weren't about to say something. No, he's a freak, man. I just hope you weren't saying something you were about to regret, Cheese, regarding you mentioned Sloan, and you kind of thought about it for a bit. I will just have you know, he's on. He is actually my Never Again list. Is named the Tyrell Sloan Memorial Never Again list, of which he is the captain coach of. So,
mate,
he can be playing outside bloody Mark Gasnier on the wing. He would not be anywhere near.
Look, mate, if he's playing outside Mark Gasnier and still not getting a shout on SuperCoach, Flano's got a lot of work to do, that's for sure. But
you play outside LeBron James,
Yeah, exactly. All right, now let's get into some trials notes that we did like, that we saw. We'll focus a bit more on the teams going to Vegas and coming up a bit closer. Obviously, we've got more full-strength teams coming up this weekend. It's nice to see some teams put in a bit more of a 1 to 13 we would see, and some put in a 1 to 13 who is this. So going to be some interesting games this weekend. Again, remember, it's trials. Take what you can get from it, but always have an overreaction. That's the point of these trials for us super coaches. So we'll start big, because I think this is going to be the big talking point in the halves, and not just that, but I think a lot of us nurse the same issue in that Sharks trial. Nico Hines is stuck on the right side, and he did not once go past the near post in a second receiver position. That is ugly to me. I'm pretty sure I know that's ugly to you. I mean, does it rule him out almost? Just being stuck on that right side for you?
Oh, listen, man. I mean, I've been on Nico Hines Island all off season. I've got a couple of lovely waterfront properties there, and I was really, really enjoying my summer. Just thinking, hey, like the legs getting better. Trindle, yeah, cool, mate. You did it for a month. Let's see what happens when Daddy comes home. But you watch that game on Thursday night, whenever it was, and as you said, Cheese, like they've got a very clear left-right shape. Nico being on the right with his boy Nikora, and then Trindle being on the left with Wilton. That just seems the way they're going to play. There's a couple of, I believe actually you posted on Instagram, was a quote by Fitzy pre-game, I believe, regarding this exact point. If
let me see if I can bring that up here.
It's pretty damning to read.
It wasn't hopeful.
Horror.
No, and I've got that here.
I've got it here for you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, mate. You go.
Okay. They haven't trained nor played a great deal together. I want to see them share responsibility so we're dangerous on both sides of the ball and not just one. That's left-right shape, man. Now, to answer your question, does it make Nico an option? Mate, Nico's always an option. He's Nico friggin' Hines. The bloke just accumulates points for fun. He's a freak. He can kick. He can run. He can do all these things that are good for rugby league. But I noted did a couple of notes on it, and I mentioned that he will still score well in this new role and hold value, but becomes a trade target rather than urgent get. Nico is someone you want to start with if you see him pumping 90s again and being the best player in SuperCoach. And to do that, mate, he needs to be spamming touches all over the paddock. When he just touches the ball 2-3 times a set, he's getting over the advantage line from Brayley. He's running off Fanua Blake and whatever. There's a couple of examples we're going to look at, maybe off camera, about, when he put on 140 against Canberra last year. Just those kind of games where he's just all over the gaff. Just doesn't know it's going to happen. Not at least straight away, and certainly not against Penrith.
Yeah, that Penrith obviously doesn't really help much. I mean, Cleary's the better pick out for both of them, considering we're facing each other to start the season with. The thing that I did like seeing, though he was stuck on that near post that game, was the fact that when he did get the ball, he was taking the shots. It seemed a lot more shots he had. I believe I have the stats here. Sorry, 1 second. But obviously, if you watch the game, you'd know that the Sharks didn't really get many red zone opportunities. We were absolutely awful. We didn't touch it too much.
No.
The way it went was, from memory, I believe, from what I got from when I watched the game, I did miss about 5 to 10 minutes of it, was Hines had 2 goes in one set, 1 dummy and run, and then 1 cut out for a try. So that was in 1 set, 2 shots. Good to see. It then went back to Trindle's side for 1 shot. So 3 shots in 1 set was really interesting to see. It's a very attacking style where Fitzy looked like he wanted to play then. And then the next set, cut out to Stone Street, who then drops it and had pretty much bombs an open wide try. So the looks were there. I enjoyed how confidently Nico was throwing the ball around. Again, let's remember, Tamale was playing there.
Yep.
He's not he's not a very good defender, okay? We saw that. We saw him get caught out way too many times, 5 in. And the biggest problem about when you are playing that left to right shape is that it makes the defense a lot easier to read you. When you're doing video reviews, the thing that's so dangerous about a number 7 who does roam both sides is that you've got to have 12 players now knowing what that 7 likes to do. Who does he like off his hip? Does he turn in? Does he go out? Where does he step? That's the thing about dangerous number 7. When you restrict him to a near post and the furthest he gets is playing a first receiver role, you've only got to worry about half the field now. When you come up against the Panthers, mate, if anyone's ever watched the Panthers live, their talk and communication and defense is the best in the comp. They never stop talking, they never stop pointing, and they have some of the best shuffling defense in the comp. The way they shuffle when the ball is in the air and still mark up, it's beautiful. This is the biggest problem with starting with Hines now. It's due to the fact he's stuck on that right edge, because if it wasn't in Panthers, if you have the Tigers, the Knights, someone with a winger who's going to shoot up and give him that 2 to 3 minutes for a cutout, he'd still be a pretty good option to start the season with. But against that Panthers team, he's not going to get any of those opportunities. And like you said, he's a great target to look at, but I think Cleary's just absolutely one vast starting half position now.
Yeah. 100%. Before we talk Cleary, I can I ask you one more thing about that shape, Cheese? You know, we've gone on about the cons here, which I think are the Daniel cons, which are quite clear. But is the other side of the coin that it simplifies his life in a way? That he's not having to be Eddie everywhere, and he just has to play down that right channel. Does that take a bit less off his plate? And does that make him more, not as high a volume, obviously, but
no, yeah, absolutely. Look, you're 100% right there. And the thing we've seen with Hines in the past is that it's good for SuperCoach with how much he would do. If nothing was on, he takes a tackle, he gains 3 to 4 minutes sometimes. Hey, beautiful. The thing with playing Simplified now is that we're looking at more quality touches with him. It's from what I heard, he was training in more of a 5/8 role in the sense of like Trindle's got for kicking, and we saw that Trindle's got for long kicking game. He's going to prioritize for kicking. Hines gets probably more shots in the red zone. From what we saw in trial, that's the way it's looking. The problem is it's really for that first week, it's just, if it wasn't the Panthers, he'd be a standout. It's just the Panthers are that team where less is more is going to be great for Hines, not against a team that's got such good defense as the Panthers. Moving forward, round 3, he's a definite target for me. Just I'll have him in there, especially with goal kicking.
Well, yeah, he plays the Cows in round 2. He averages 91 against them for his career. Then he plays South, who probably aren't going to have a couple of pretty decent players. That's at home as well. Then the Dogs, better defense. Canberra averages 90 against. It's going to be a very scary watch as non-owner. He's probably the 3rd or 4th most scary guy. But yeah, he's an absolute trade target. I just personally don't. And this might be the famous last words on episode 1 here. I don't believe he's going to get away from us in price, at least not in the first month or so. Geez, I already regret saying that, man.
Yeah, he's going to be $1 million coming around 6. Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, no. 1.2. It's going to be like an apartment in Kellyville.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Look, let's move on now. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about Hines, coming once Teamless Tuesday comes out next week. We'll do a very big deep dive on those 4 teams specifically. That's any property prices. Yeah. Don't worry about realestate.com, guys. You've got SuperCoach Hub here for that. Yeah. Now, Corey Pax.
That's the Thursday.
Corey Pax, what were your thoughts on him, mate? I didn't get to see much of this Broncos game. I saw the highlights from Pax. He looked around it. He looked confident, and he looked like he wanted to take the game on. That's good signs for me for someone who's, what is he now, 232? So I'm enjoying it. I mean, Haas and likely Carrigan as the props for him, 2 very good props he could have off his hip. As someone who watched the game, how did you find him?
Are you talking to me or the bloke who's sitting in the other room? Because I didn't see it, mate. I was
sorry, mate.
I was building up equity with the missus on Sunday.
Fair enough.
No, but I can tell you that Corey Pakes, he averages 0.7 ppm for his entire career. So you basically need 60 minutes out of him to make 120 grand. There you go. There's your Corey Pakes stat. Now, does he play 60 minutes? What do you reckon? I mean, they're going to have Walters on the bench, aren't they?
You'd imagine so. You'd imagine Walters starts on the bench. It's, I don't know, a 50-30. 50-30, 45-35, probably. That's what I'm probably looking at. He doesn't get for 60, in my opinion. Unless he's killing it.
Who knows, man? It's yeah. 50 minutes means he averages 35 a week at his career PPM. Man, he's still making money there, but
fuck, man, I think it depends what you want.
That screen pickings and that like less than 400K.
Yeah, no, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, if we got for Duffy we needed, you put Sam Smith up there and you're cheering, But there's really not much options around that price tag, especially if you're going double cheaper. You've likely got Memo there. Yeah. Look, if Pace comes out and he can not, as long as you're not expecting the cash gen to be astronomical and you think you've got other places to make it, I think he's a good shout for the time being. Just depends who your hooker one's going to be.
Can I ask you? I'll give you a left field one. Put you
Go
on
ahead,
the spot here. What are your thoughts on Owen Paddy if he's named at 14 for round 1?
Absolutely love it. Will be in my team immediately. I am a big Owen Paddy stan. You think I've got an Ionic Swan? I've got a whole freaking room dedicated to him. I love the way he plays. Well, I'm sorry. I just haven't seen a kid. I haven't seen a kid. I know it was a trial match, but a kid to come into a number 9 position and just be all over. He was a sniffer dog. You know, you want fullbacks who sniff. That's what Paddy was. He was following the ball. He was looking good.
Yeah.
When you put him in a first grade team, like at 14, he's a good viable option. You know, you bring him on in the 45th, 50th, whenever Ricky decides to bring him in. Mate, he's coming on against tired forwards. He's a runger. He's got someone off his hips. If he's got Weeks, you know, he shoots out right, heads to that B marker, and Weeks is on his inside, and you know, Tarpany on his mate. He's got 2 options there, and I guarantee you, he backs himself. And you know, mate, I love Owen Paddy. I'd be all over him if he gets that.
Tell you what he looked like, Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No question. I mean, like, I'd prefer watching, you know, just riding him out than hoping that Pace gets 60 minutes. You know, like, the sniffer dog comment was quite spot on. Not to be confused with the sniffer dogs at Central Station that you see every day, obviously. But yeah, he looked like a young another version of Harry Grant, didn't he? Just loved it. As soon as you spotted any kind of business around the ruck, you just went for it. Follow the ball to score a second. I mean, you just love seeing that kind of shit as a young.
You do. I mean, and I think the thing I really loved about watching Paddy was he was very eyes up. You know, like normally you see hookers who are come in, like you saw with Memo. He was looked very stuck to a regimen. He knew where he had to go, and he was just going there. Paddy he's looking up every single time, and he's taking a look. He's seeing where the marks are. He's seeing where the A's are, and he's looking at who he's got the options for. I love him. I think he's going to be a very great option come mid-season if you're looking for a downgrade. If he doesn't get that 14 straight away, he'll be playing sooner than later, I think. All right.
I'll give one cool Mustat now and Paddy to add to your shrine a bit later.
Please do.
Average 5 minutes a game in New South Wales Cup last year. I know it's New South Wales Cup, you know, caveats. Yep. But 35 minutes a game in New South Wales last year. Average PPM 1.26. Look, those are Sonny Luke kind of areas with that number. With, you know, forget the Sonny Luke comparison, but you know, does that say you can come on the bench, do 30 minutes, do a job? You know, he's 198K, man. Like, he gets 30 minutes surely if fucking Starling or you know, the ghost of, you know, the dream killer Danny Levi is starting. I mean, honestly, how long is it before he's the main hooker there? Is it?
Yeah. I believe he got upgraded. I believe he did just get contracted extension, and if I remember correctly, the terms were I think it was top 30 or something like that, guaranteed going in next year. From what I've seen, I mean, he looks like he's for future 9, you'd imagine. He's got that Canberra toughness to him as well. You know, he just looks like a Canberra boy. He's going to get better. Yeah. Code's not going to, you know, worry him. Yeah. Oh, mate, like, honestly, give me Owen Paddy at 14. He's in my team in a heartbeat. Yeah. Now, let's move on to, mate, I have been back and forth in my head with him. Mate, I've been back and forth with this guy all day, and the team list Tuesday hasn't helped. I was really hoping to see him get a little bit of support so we could see how it worked in a bit more of a full team. Isaiah Iongi, we saw him in the trial. We saw him get pulled off quite early. Don't worry about Josh Papali. We're not talking about him yet. He's a later date. Isaiah Ioane. What I saw from him was a kid who is very confident in his ability coming into a brand new team. He wanted the ball. He wasn't so much sniffing around as I would have liked. Again, it was first hit out in that para team. I would have really liked to see Moses with him this week, see how he sweeps, see how they play off each other. Fortunately, we're not going to see that. My question to you is, what does Ioane need to do this weekend for you to, if you're not a non-owner, to look at him and go, he's someone I'm very strongly considering?
Oh, what does he have to do? Just not get injured. That's it.
Just not get injured.
Simple as that. Yeah. I mean, before we go forward, Ioane, also known as Voldemort in the Gibberish chat, shout out to the Gibberish for the second time tonight, given he's been probably the most spoken about man in the NRL for the last 2 months, to the point where he shall remain nameless from here on out. So, yeah, old Voldemort, he, tell you what, I actually went back in the depths of summer and watched his debut game, Cheese, against, well, he was playing for Penrith against Newey. And, again, it's one game, but love what I saw. You can tell he's been at, how long was he at Penrith for? Like, he's similar to what we were saying about Duncan with
system.
Cheese, sorry, not Cheese, Yongi. He's been under Edwards, right? So, like, they've got a very similar kind of game style in the sense he's always following the plays, fit as anything. Like 2 carries a set if necessary. Mate, he'll pump high 30s in base, base power, even low 40s. I know there's only 3 fullbacks per realm that have ever do over 45 a game, but the thing I really loved about it, Cheese, I'm sure you were the same, he's popping up on both sides as a sweeper. We know, like Tedesco, he went nuts doing, didn't he? Just the back of shape, just flicking it on, doing his thing. I only, threw one of the great double pump, no looker cutout balls to, Buddy Marju was like Bambi on ice, obviously, but that was very promising. You don't see that from many players, let alone rookie fullbacks, dude.
Yeah,
that was awesome. He looked to sweep out the left as well. Now, whether he does that when Moses comes back, who knows? They love Moses in that shape, mate. But the fact that he's got it in him that's enough for me. He's not going to be one of these dudes that's scared to show his skills that are in his kit bag.
Nah, not at all.
So yeah, really happy with the pick. He's going to be the fastest growing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you said, he looks confident in his skin. It's one thing to come up into say, for example, Edwards couldn't play the first 5 rounds. He comes up to our Penrith team and he looks good. That's one thing. You've been in a system. You come into a team, guys, you know how they play. He's come into a para team where he's had, 1 preseason with him, brand new team, and has been told, look, here's the one, go out, prove it can be yours. And he just looked confident, basically coming out and saying, this is going to be my jersey for the season. He wasn't afraid to take the shots. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. It's really good signs. And especially when you consider it wasn't with Moses or Brown, which is that double-edged sword. You want to see how he plays with him, how they run off each other and that chemistry to start with. But if he's doing that with, Volkman, I'm looking very forward to see how, Moses really sets him up, looks at the defense and goes, look, mate, there's your hole. Go for it. Because that's what Ioane's going to do. He's going to just run like hell. So he's a very promising guy. I think this is a brilliant question here because I think this is something this was something that definitely did turn me off to start with. And it was, do you think he scores well against the Storm in round 1? Look, for me, he scores a 50, I'm okay. Just give me base. I don't expect big things in round 1 against the Storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither. He's not playable, obviously. But round 1. I was just thinking another idea, and this isn't to directly answer the question. No, I don't believe so. Especially not that it's down in Melbourne, man. You'd be a one-eyed eel, and probably the Cumberland Throws playing him, but I don't know about us. there's probably even an option to say, like, if you want to burn a couple of early trades, like, don't even select him round 1. You know, if you don't like Walsh, maybe you downgrade Walsh to someone random, and then you upgrade Longy to someone random. That's more just want to burn trades for no reason. But yeah, mate, he's got it. He's got the great game. He's got the good base. He runs all day. He's got the skills. Just a matter of time before he gets opportunities to realize his ceiling, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be a thing. As a new player, it's going to take him time to come into his own, but to really know what works in first grade for him. We see the transition from, New South Wales Cup to come up for a couple of games, and they do all right. But it's finding out what works for you and what you can consistently do throughout a whole season. That's going to be the big test for him. Obviously, thankfully in SuperCoach, we don't need him to do that. We need him to have a good, 5 to 8 weeks and make as much cash as quickly as possible. So, that's a good thing. Like, let me just pull up here. So, Storm, Tigers, Bulldogs, Sea Eagles. Not the most fun of draws.
Yep.
But
yeah,
for only not the most fun of draws, but it's definitely something where I look at it and I just go, if I have to come start with him round 1, I'm not disappointed in that. With the cash you're spending elsewhere from not going that third gun fullback, you'd want to be trying to make up the points elsewhere.
Yeah, I think another random thing to consider is Will Kennedy's the worst fullback in SuperCoach. He averages 48.
Not just SuperCoach.
So like, is Yongi worse than him? I mean, even if he's just as bad as him. Yeah, well.
Yeah, exactly. And Will's never really been that guy to take.
He's as bad as him. He's still too
good. Yeah, exactly. Now, moving off from Ione.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe and like
yeah. Moving on from Ione, Kalmatalani. Man, the lines he was
out a little bit.
No, you're good, mate. Kalmatalani, the lines he was hitting on that trial, mate. Put Mitch Moses with him. I am absolutely keen. He looked just great, didn't he? Look, he's not someone that's gonna, absolutely kill it on the base side of things. But with Mitch Moses, the way he was running off Volkman, he was very agile. He wanted that ball. He wanted to be the first option instead of that sweeper play with that fullback, which I really liked because you get that very early in the game and then you hit it again in the back. So, look, I mean, I'm starting with Kalma. Is he in your team to start with?
Yeah, he is, mate. I don't love it. The numbers look good. And you're right, like outside Moses, anything can happen there. He hit a couple of great lines on the field, right?
Yeah.
On Saturday. And you can see that happening again with Moses there. Base power with 32 at home. The only thing I don't like about Kelmer is I think he's that great of a footy player. Like maybe he's turned a corner. In the off season, all the training reports are really positive. But he just does a lot of dumb shit, man. There's dumb penalties. He's an absolute special for a roll ball as well. I don't know if there's a market on one of the bookies yet, but I'd be willing to put my rent on Kelmer to win that market most weeks. But yeah, love it. I mean, he's 9% owned. He's actually 10% owned now. He's flying the last couple of weeks. He was always around 4 for most of the preseason. But, mate, he just looks like this guy that is, 150 unders. You get a couple of early attacking stats out of him. He's an easy bridge to then Eli Katoa or whoever at some point when he's peaked at 600K. And I think that's fairly reasonable. One thing I will say, though, this was raised by the SuperCoach Spy. Shout out to the Spy. Does Bryce Cartwright spell him, at some point on the right there? What do you reckon? Is he guaranteed 80, Kelmer?
I don't want any other Cardi party, mate. Look, if Kelmer, hang on, let me just double check something real quick. I believe Kelmer's suiting up for this weekend, isn't he? He's playing again. Yeah, he is. Look, I mean, if Kelman comes out
and he's playing.
Kills it again, if Kelman comes out and kills it again this weekend, like you'd almost just say, Cardi, look, mate, play front row. Like I couldn't move him. He's like you said, he's not a great footy player, but the way he ran the lines is just he looks like he's going to be a really good combo for Moses, and that's something they're really going to need on that edge. I can't see Cardi really. I can't see Cardi spelling him to a point where it makes me uninterested. Yeah.
A lot of edges at that club, though, Cheese. A lot of forwards, even. Is it the fact that if Paris struggle early, Kelman is the first one that gets the axe? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Who's going to be the fall guy in there? No, look, you're all right, mate. Like, and that's the problem. There's a lot of edges. Hopefully, the thing is, though, whatever edge is going to get those minutes, it's going to be a cheapy edge. That's what we're hoping for. I don't want to part of a Bryce Cartwright train. I don't know who would. Yeah, look, I can understand it, actually. I can understand it. But look, Kelman needs to be the one, from what I saw, he needs to be playing the most amount of minutes. I think he's just going to be very vital going forward for him. All right, mate. Look. Now.
Yeah, the Cartwright era is over at Para.
Yeah, thankfully, no more Cardi Party. We'll all bust it out. Now, we've got a lot. So, obviously, next week, with a lot of the trials, the teams this week moving forward for the trials, naming a lot more stronger sides, it's going to be a big week, especially going into, round one team list for the Vegas teams. I'm under the assumption that Gibberers have asked plenty of questions for us tonight, so I don't want to have to cut them short. So let's get into some of these Gibberer questions, mate.
Let me feed you a couple earlier ones, Cheese.
Please do.
The first one comes from Douglas MacArthur, also known as the Cothbenoth. He says, rather viscerally, Pacifici Tonga when?
Oh, when? Round one,
mate. What did you reckon about that? Is that the best? Is that Payne Haas? Is that Payne Haas Jr.? What's going on with him? He's an absolute animal.
Mate, while I was with the Dragons in their rep system with their training and stuff like that, mate, Loco is he's an absolute future stud. He's going to be. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if I have him all year, in all honesty, once he starts getting minutes. Like, he's a workhorse, but he's also got a really nice right-hand offload on that. Yeah, that can be stopped, especially with that, but God, man, I want him this year. He is actually going to be a future star, and I hope they start to breed him as quickly as possible. I think that's going to be best for the Dragons.
Yeah. Does Flano not know he's 198K? And we have a shortage. The second question comes from Sam. He says, why is Sanks?
Oh, sorry, mate. You're cutting
misleading
out.
everyone by telling everyone to select a Delga plan. It's just something for viewers to think about. The Gibber.
Okay. I heard Sanks. I think that's one else. Yeah.
A couple other ones here. So we've already kind of discussed the Voldemort one. This comes from shout out to just who is your favorite in 80 to 650K range 2RF? 580K to 650K. That you get up in the morning getting a coffee.
580K to 650K was it, mate? Sorry, you just cut out a bit.
Correct. Yep, correct. 580 to 650.
For me, it's Dylan Lucas. I love Lucas's base. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but he's a base machine on the edge. As long as he doesn't get shoved out, too far on the edge, he's an absolute stud for me in that price range, especially with the duel. That duel just adds so much value to him, especially when you get, these wingers who, we've seen with Dom Young or, Garrick with the concussions. He's just so interchangeable. It's Lucas is one that I won't be moving out of my team anytime soon. He's just too invaluable at that price tag for me, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd echo your sentiment about Lucas. He hasn't left my team since 2 minutes after Team Picker opened back in December.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, the average is 68 on the edge when he plays 80 minutes as well, by the way. So that's something to
thank you, mate.
Think about tonight when the lights go off. You know what I mean, mate? Yeah. So in that price range, to go like little detour, Connor Watson. So I'll note this that he fits in that price range, does he? Yep, got your Jace. He's 583k.
Yep,
mate. On the topic of Jules, I think we've already kind of touched on the hookers being a bit of a dead zone. Grant and Watson for me, gonna be top 1 and 2. So yeah, love Connor in 2RF. Just be able to move him up there eventually. One thing I found quite interesting about the Roosters team list this week is they've named a 14 on the bench. Cheese. That says to me that whether they do that round 1 or not, time will tell, obviously. But to me, that says that they want Connor rotating through lock at some point during the game, giving him a spell at 9, which just increases his ceiling even more. He's going to be running it. He's going to be offloading it. I'd go as far as saying if Connor's playing 80 between 9 and 13, clip this up. Clip warning. If Connor Watson plays around 80 and 19 and 13, he will be the top averaging forward in SuperCoach this season. He just loves it, mate. He's so active. He's fit as anything. Yeah.
All right, and adding Connor Watson.
So yeah, Connor Watson,
my team. Okay, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. 10.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions from Gibbers?
Couple other questions for your Cheese, if you want.
Absolutely, give them.
Yep. Now this one comes from Lachlan. Shout out to you, Lachlan. Not that I'd be doing it myself. Dash in an ordinary 5'8" position. Thoughts on AJ Brimson? At 539k at 5'8", provided he gets dual with centre wing. Would be a pod due to the round 1 bye. Interested to hear some takes on lesser talked about players that could be relevant. So question is, thoughts on AJ Brimson at 539k? Yeah, he's going to be a 5'8" and dual. Well, could be a 5'8" dual. Is he going to be? Is that going to happen?
Where they name him actually?
Or is Lockie on the special Maki tonight?
Hang on, let's take a look at this. Not saying AJ's been named a 6.
Okay.
Look, honestly, I don't hate it, especially with such a wasteland that it has been. If he gets named a 6, it's definitely something to play around with. I've very much personally been on the Luai and Metcalf train for pretty much the whole preseason. Yeah, look, I not for me, but if you're looking at really stacking, I see AJ as a nice pod as long as you've got that bench there to cover him for that first round. That first round bye just turns me off him as well. It's not nice. I'd only look at Tino and Kinney with that first round bye, but in a 5'8" position, like I've got currently for me, I've got Metcalf playing, and there's really no one else on my bench I'd like to play round 1. I don't know about yourself, but I couldn't do it with the first round bye.
Yeah, definitely could. There's a lot of moving parts at Gold Coast, especially with Carter Gordon waiting in the wings. Foreign on the bench apparently. Like, who knows? I mean, Kinney's the fullback for sure, but does AJ get shifted around a little bit? Maybe Brimson ends up playing fullback again at some point if Kinney goes down. God forbid, obviously, but that makes him viable for sure. I think his numbers at fullback are quite good. Don't quote me on it, but I think he's in the 60s in terms of his average. But if what Lachlan's asking there is, is it worth taking a pod basically at 5'8", and Brimson's 539? How much is Weeks? I think Weeks is much more expensive than that. he's probably your answer. I'd say Weeks is probably in pretty pod territory. Similar kind of player as well. In fact, Weeks
is 530,
5'8". So there you go. And what's his ownership at the moment? 9%. Okay, so he's getting up there. You can actually get Luke Brooks for a grand cheaper than KO Weeks. He's only 2% there, Lachlan. So maybe something to think about.
Charity, if you're watching, that's not a suggestion, mate.
Yeah, geez. Sorry, he's right. Brimson's only available at centre wing at the moment.
Yeah.
So
So only a centre wing.
The question. Yeah, but he will get 5'8". Couple last ones for you, mate. From Jesse, shout out to Jesse. I believe he ranked 94th. He was in the top 100 last year.
Jeez, Jesse.
Mate. Hopefully
what we love.
Back it up again this year, lad. He says Melbourne go and no-go players. Shout out to Jesse, one of the great gibberers. Or gibret. You never know with that. But Melbourne go and no-go players. What's too many, and who are the prime targets for your Cheese? Who do you like from Melbourne?
Who I like from Melbourne? Love Harry Grant from Melbourne. Absolutely love him. Really? I think it's just Harry Grant. I honestly think that I wouldn't start with Katoa. I think he's someone you aim to target to get in. You don't start with him. I think Talangi, like you mentioned earlier, could definitely bridge that gap to him. For me, the only one I'd look to start with is honestly Harry Grant, and is Munster right to go? If Munster's right to go for round one, I'd look at Munster as a pod. But aside from that, I'm honestly not big on it. And usually I'd like to keep the max amount of players to a team is free. I just don't want any more in case, injuries pop up or a bye at the wrong time. You kind of backed into a corner. So for me, I wouldn't want to go past 3 Melbourne players, and I'm only looking at Harry Grant or Munster, mate. Who's on your radar from there?
Yeah, no, plus one Harry for sure. Munster, I'm not as hot on. I mean, double hip surgery, I believe. Cheese, I don't know.
What's double hip?
If he's even been running this preseason. I mean, double hip. Something my granddad had one day. He didn't exactly run that well after that surgery either. But those two, sure. Pappy, I mean, he's cheap as chips. But the one I really like, actually look at this. You got Bloor, you got Stefano. Stefano's unders. Bloor could be unders if Munster's healthy. Average 65 of them.
Stefano's a shout.
Stretch there last year. One guy I really like. I couldn't do it. He's for sure unders. He's just a frustrating guy to me. I really like Howarth for sure.
Jackie,
there's a lot of upside there, and we already know he's 100k under. He averaged mid 50s, 54, I believe, in 80-minute games last year. He's priced at 44, so there's value there. There's upside playing in that back line. He's a guy I really like. A couple of ones I guess I don't like, to answer Jeff's question. Jerome Hughes, great season, 83 average. That's overs. Meany, never really liked him as a SuperCoach player. I love Wishart, but not until one of the guys goes down. All over Wishart, mate, when he gets a go. Definitely.
Yeah.
You agree?
Wishart's a good shout, actually. He might be cheeky if someone does go down. That's a great point.
Yeah, one to wait on. So I hope we've helped you with that question, Jesse. Last one for your Cheese.
Give it to me, mate.
Actually, I won't read that one. That'll get us.
We don't want that yet.
Too low range. Okay, no, that one. There's a question. There's a question from realm that's probably going to require about thinking to answer. Here's a final
we'll
one
watch
for
that next week.
Nick VL. Shout out to you, Nick. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Yeah, the realm hour. Who are your top smokies in the premium mid-range, i.e. 500, 600K? You can see transitioning to guns. 500 to 600K. I'll just give you a couple off the top that I really, really like here, Cheese. The first one is Ali Lauatia from the Waz. Powerful bloke. Take what he did against Melbourne's threes last week with a grain of salt, but love him. Marju, he's 512K. Best plays, averages 70. He's well under. You're then probably looking at Kai Pearce-Paul's a shout. I mean, he's playing on the right this year. That's apparently going to be better for his offload. So time will tell. That maybe increases his ceiling. Weeks, already kind of mentioned. Mate, as we get towards the top of the 500s, Roger, he's there. I'm not as jumping up and down about Roger as others, to be honest. I think we saw this last year, oh, sweet, he's coming back. Oh, cool, it's going to be in this position. Good trial form. Comes in, he'll do a job, but I don't think he's going to jump through the roof or anything. He'll probably do 60, make a bit of cash, but he's priced at 57, man.
It's not great.
He's priced at 50. Probably have a look, but nah. I mean, you're asking him to do a lot to make cash. That's about it for me. Lehigh Hopewadi as well. He's an interesting one. He averages 68 when playing on the wing, I believe. So if that happens, that's good. And the final one in that price range is Terrell May. I don't think we need to say much about Terrell May, but he's under 600K, so he's worthy of a mention. And he was actually the first player.
Look, I agree. Look, for me, Weeks is the big one. I mean, watch him in his trial. He's just a pure footy player. I mean, especially with that try he scored immediately. He chases the ball, has the whereabouts to turn around, move back 3 to 4 meters, skip around, and as he's mid-stride, then put on a step to cut through and give a little hip swivel, like great core strength. And then also slow up to make sure he's got support play and drag in, but then head far enough wide. I love Weeks for that. Look, for that price point, I'm very tempted on him. He's probably he should be very highly owned if he comes out with a great shot. He's brilliant. He's going to be good in that Raiders team. Look, who else are there? I really do like Cobbo. I think Cobbo could be a nice smoky there on the wing at 550. He's priced at 550. For me, it depends how we see Walsh really go with Hunt straight away. I think that's a great little target you can look at around 5 to 6. If Cobbo's on fire, you bring him in. He's going to be absolutely lightning on that wing. I'm with you. I'm in the same boat with you as RTS, where for me he's a placeholder for the moment until we see where we can go from him. I don't know how much more value we get out of him and how quickly he gets that value. But look, if he's on the wing, it's at least gonna, you'd think he gets a smoky try, maybe a line break as well. And that base work from returning the kick. So he's definitely a placeholder. Now I'm going to give you the absolute biggest smoky, and I'm going to cop.
He won't let you down. He won't let you down.
No, he's not. He's not going to let you down either. That's the thing. Well, my big smoky, and like if you want to spend up a hooker, but you don't want to spend up a Harry Grant, but you don't want a memo, mate, Blake freaking Brayley. Clip it if you want. Come back to me in round 27, and laugh at me for all you want. But mate, we saw the numbers that Egan. We saw the jump in Egan when AFB hit that 72 average. Let me just pop that up for a second. I've got that laying around here. But look, Brayley's not the biggest.
Do you want to say that again? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, mate. So look here. So basically, what we saw was, and we're going back a couple of years, only because Egan did have not a great season last year with injuries and everything included. But in 2023, when we saw Egan jump up 9 points average when AFB averaged at 72 for a year, and we seen AFB average 72 again last year. Now, praying, dreaming, call it whatever you want. I'm on the Blake Brayley train. If he can get nab an extra 8 to 9 points a game, I'm quite happy with that. It's just it really depends on how the Sharks forwards play. He's got Hazelton. He's got Hazelton one side. He'll have Fusey. He has AFB now, and Brayley's quite a good support player. So he's my big smoky. I'm a clipper now. I think Brayley's going to end up as one of the best hookers this year you can own. I'll see you all in round 27 when that fails.
11 try assists last year. Yeah. The clip community, they have just receipts coming out of their backsides from stuff we said in February. RTS averaged 80, boys. What the fuck have you been talking about? Mate, Brayley averaged 11 try assists last year. Which doesn't really mean a hell of a lot.
No, he doesn't.
Does he uptick slightly early? Does he get a couple early?
I'll get the numbers for next week because I think it might be one we hop on a little bit for 5 minutes or so with the Vegas teams. But Brayley, he's never really been that big of a runner, but we saw it last year start to advance a little bit. 44 in base plus power average throughout the year. But my favorite thing that I want in a dummy half going forward after seeing just how terrible it ends up, best ability for me as a hooker is, your availability. I want you playing every weekend. Brayley's not playing New South Wales unless he has a standout season, which then you'll be cheering him on anyway. But if he's not, he's playing the other 24 rounds a season. So if I can just plug him and play him there, take their, hopefully 55 average, I'm happy each day. That's fine for me.
Yeah, and that may be a hell of a lot better on the old mental health than looking at 0.7 ppm blokes who are getting 55, like I'm about to subject myself to, most likely. Thought you'd think I'd learn a lesson from last year, starting with Joey Lussick and Danny Levi, and how that went really well.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, so a lot of ways to trade and hooker, but let's run it back, baby. Let's run it back, baby. Let's go. Mamo and Sandin both get 20 in the first week. We're back to square one again. But,
it's not SuperCoach unless they both get 20.
And
then you trade out for the wrong one.
Yeah. Yeah. Mate, as you said, man, Paddy's the answer. We'll take Paddy on the bench. At least don't expect a hell of a lot. Our hero. But it'll be a great fun, man. Yeah, Paddy.
And if you don't want to start with him in NRL SuperCoach, New South Wales Cup SuperCoach, maybe make one, knock yourself out. Just get Owen Paddy. But look, fellas, we've got to wrap up. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Going forward, obviously, we don't want to give you guys a lot of stats from years prior, as in the off season, team structures change, coaches change, plans change, teams alter. Stats are good. We'll give you the stats that we think are relevant from the past seasons to lead us up until the round start. But once we get into rounds 1, rounds 2, mate, it's going to be an absolute nerd fest. Be prepared for that. Whether you're a gibberer or you're in the SC hub, put in as many questions as you want to see. Give us as many topics as you want to see. And just ask whatever you want, honestly. Whatever you're thinking, I guarantee you someone else has fought it. And if they haven't, I guarantee you both of us have fought it at one point, whether how dumb you think it may sound.
Yeah. Listen, man, it doesn't have to even be SuperCoach related. Like, I've got a question here asking about my thoughts on the Kennedy assassination. That's obviously something that we'll tackle on another pod, but let them fly in, guys. We'll do our best to pull up stats to explain the unexplainable, such as that event.
Exactly. We'll look at the stats you don't want to. Exactly. So, look, I want to, Reese, I want to thank you for being on here tonight, providing the stats that you do off the top of your head. You're an absolute legend with that. Your content's great. Like I said, Give him a follow. You'll absolutely won't regret it. Be a gibberer. Get in the SC Hub Discord. Plenty of things happening this year. Be around it. Be part of a community. Big things happening. Reese, thank you. Thank you for committing to the year too. It's going to be a very fun year, chatting absolutely nothing but stats and diving deep with you. Mate, cannot wait to get into it. Everyone, good luck watching the trials this week. Good luck, making sure your partners are happy and be prepared for a very long season.
Likewise, mate.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Make sure you take your missus out for dinner.
Yeah. Nice dinner, fellas. All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week, Wednesday. And remember, every Wednesday pod will drop. Every Wednesday pod will drop 7:45 p.m. to 8 p.m. Be here, get the stats. Have a good night's sleep. Have a good day tomorrow. Catch ya.